Okay, good morning everybody. Let us begin this morning session with metta. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless living friendliness, above, below and all around, unobstructed, without hatred or resentment, whether standing, walking or sitting, lying down or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desire for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. With this metta thought in mind, let us begin our practice. This is a wonderful way to start the day with metta, meditation and mindfulness meditation, concentration. The day will be very rich and peaceful and happy. Keeping metta in mind, let us start focusing the mind on the breathing without conceptualizing or verbalizing. Simply pay total undivided attention to the breath. Notice the breath rising and falling. You can notice the breath only through your feelings. Feeling also rises and falls along with the breath. And our perception rises and falls along with the breath. Our intentional attention changes along with the breath. Our consciousness rises and falls along with the breath. What I meant in these words is that we focus our mind on the breath and become aware of all other aggregates joining the breath. Breath is body, then we have feeling, perceptions, thought and consciousness. All of them rise together. And they rise together and pass away together. With this awareness, our body, feeling, the breath, everything becomes calm, relaxed and peaceful. When they are calm, no place for greed to arise. Greed is agitating mental factor, exciting mental factor, sometimes disturbing mental factor. It does not arise when everything is calm and relaxed and peaceful. And then also anger, resentment or hatred does not arise at that time in the mind. Instead, since the mind, body, feeling all are calm, we feel metta feeling, very sincere feeling. Without any word, we feel metta, all in our mind. And then the body, the breath, feeling all become even more calm, more relaxed and more peaceful. At that level, sometimes people feel sleepy. Sleepiness does not bring us insight or wisdom. Rather, it dulls our wit. So we have to overcome sleepiness by arousing our energy. In order to overcome our sleepiness, we might take a deep breath, hold it as long as we can, and slowly breathe out. Again breathe in, hold it as long as we can, and slowly breathe out. You may do it several times, then your body will be warmed up, sleepiness will fade away. You may even have excess energy after that. Because of this excessive energy, your mind can become restless and be full of worry. That also is not a good mental state. Restlessness arises due to thought arising from the past and pondering over the future. We must overcome these thoughts by understanding the past is gone, the future has not come yet, and we have to anchor on the present moment. Present moment, by the way, is not an empty moment, but the present moment has our breath rising and falling, feeling rising and falling in the present moment, thought rising and falling in the present moment, consciousness rises and falls in the present moment. So when you focus the mind on the present moment, we can notice all of them rising and falling, rising and falling, rising and falling. And then we still have not be successful in the end of this training. This is a very quick training. What is left is doubt. In spite of all this, we may have doubt in our mind as to whether we can be successful or not, whether we are capable of attaining the goal or not, whether the instructions are clear or not. At that time we have to have full confidence in the Buddha. Friends, there is no match to compare the Buddha with. The Buddha is so perfectly enlightened. He was just a human being like us. Through over a long period of practice, he reached perfection. Practice makes perfect. And he proved this. Enlightenment didn't come easily. He worked hard to get it. work hard so well that he covered every possible ground, every necessary ground to attain that state. There was no an iota of doubt in his mind with regard to enlightenment. He was so sure that he said, "This is it. This is my last birth. No more birth for me anymore." He said this with full confidence because he knew this practice as a theory, then he put the theory into practice and came up with the results. So we have to have a full confidence in the Buddha. The Buddha also relied on the Dhamma. Dhamma was Buddha's teacher, and therefore the Dhamma that taught the Buddha how to attain enlightenment can be our teacher as well. And we seek refuge in the Buddha and Dhamma. The disciples, close disciples of the Buddha, following his instruction and the Dhamma, attain the same state. So they also are our role model. They proved that the system works. So we follow their footsteps. Now we have confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Then we must have confidence in ourselves, because we have already overcome 4 of the 5 hindrances, 5 obstacles: greed, resentment, sleepiness and drowsiness, restlessness and worry. So we have proven ourselves that we too can be successful. When we have this confidence, joy arises in us. Joy arises in us by thinking that we are free from debts, that is our greed, free from sickness, that is our ill will or anger, free from prison, that is like sleepiness and drowsiness. We were in maximum security prison, from where we could not see outside. Now we are free from that. Restlessness and worry is like slavery. We are free from that. Doubt is like being led into a clear area from a desert where nothing is clear but simply a sand or just snow. Now when we have overcome these hindrances, our minds should be filled with joy. This joy gradually increases until we become happy. Happiness is such a powerful, quieting, not exciting moment that leads to concentration. In concentration, we are not like a vegetable or rock. In concentration, we have very sharp and deep awareness of the 5 aggregates rising and falling and rising, falling in the subtlest way. They happen so quickly. All of them happen so quickly. Even the thinking or thought, our mind cannot keep up with their changes, impermanence. When we see this happening, our greed fades away, hatred fades away, delusion or confusion fades away, mind becomes very clear and very close to attaining liberation. Keeping this in mind, we try to practice. And after this, I will answer your question. During the practice, don't think of questions that you want to ask me. Just practice. When you come out of it, you can formulate your questions. My friend Brian is somewhere here in the building. He will help me to read the question. By means of this meritorious deed, may I never join with the foolish. May I join always with the wise until the time I attain Nibbana. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. From the highest realm of existence to the lowest, may all beings arisen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from all suffering and attain to perfect peace. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, friends, you can ask me questions. My friend will read them for me and I'll answer them.
Okay, Bhante ji.
Yes.
The first question is, you mentioned that 5 aggregates arise together and pass away together. I'm wondering, where does conceit hide within these 5 aggregates? And how does one eradicate the latent tendencies related to conceit deep down in the stream of mind consciousness?
When you see impersonality, you can overcome your conceit. There is no, when in our meditation we say, this is not I, this I am not, this is not mine, this is not myself. You may not have these things in your mind. The moment they arise, you can see them vanish as quickly as they arisen. Just like when a hot pan is heated on the fire for long period of time, the whole day, and when you drop a few drops of water, those drops of water will disappear, evaporate very quickly. Similarly, when your mindfulness and concentration work together so well, so sharply and clearly, conceit will wipe out very quickly as soon as it arises, because there is no person to have conceit. Conceit has no place. And therefore, then the very wisdom of no I, there is no I in us, that we have to see with wisdom. When wisdom is like a hot pan, when conceit tries to drop there, wisdom will quickly evaporate and burn it out. That is how it happens. Okay. Another question.
Great, thank you, Bhante. And the first part of that question also was, where does conceit hide within the 5 aggregates? Like, what part of the 5 aggregates constitutes conceit?
It's a sankhara aggregate. Sankhara aggregate. What are the sankharas? Mental states, wholesome, unwholesome, and imperturbable. This belongs to unwholesome sankhara. Unwholesome used to be very directly pinpoint. You find conceit in unwholesome sankhara, because that itself is unwholesome. Conceit is nothing wholesome. Although sometimes people, another word for conceit is pride. Pride has no place, because there is nothing to be proud of. There is no conceit to arise. So it is in the category of unwholesome sankhara. In the 5 aggregates, form, feeling, perception and volition, this is volitional formation. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Bhante. The next question. Dear Bhante, during meditation, when my mind begins to settle and I feel a sense of calm, how should I try to maintain that state to proceed? I start to feel excitement, and instantly this developing calm state fades away.
You have to maintain your relaxed, calm state without thinking about it. The moment you begin to think of calm, of course thinking agitates your mind. Thinking stimulates your mind, activates your mind for more thoughts and more thoughts. And therefore, I mention in several times in my instructions, don't verbalize. Thinking involves words, and that of course is very stimulating state. Thought stimulates the mind, and then you lose peace. And this is a very special training. You have to do this. Nobody can make you calm unless you become calm. Nobody can make you not to think unless you decide not to think. So this is very wonderful self-discipline, very insightful discipline. This is wise discipline. So we have to understand it, take it into our own hands, and we can do it very easily once we train ourselves. Of course, I understand at the beginning everything is difficult, but constant practice makes it easy. Okay? Next question.
Thank you, Bhante. Okay, next question. Dear Bhante Ji, you said any action, skillful or unskillful, makes us linger in samsara, as action or karma brings results, good or bad. I understand that. So when you give, or dana, and if you give without any wish for a good birth, or not expecting anything in return, but only with the goodness of your heart, does that skillful action still make your samsaric journey longer? Can you please explain more on that?
I think that's a very good a good question. Only when your mind is perfectly clear of all defilements, you can perform dana like that. Even enlightened persons can share their things with other beings. For instance, enlightened person, if a destitute comes to him, he definitely will share his food. He doesn't have very much to share. He has 3 robes and the alms bowl. Therefore, he doesn't have anything to share. But if he has food or drinks, that he can share with others, give to others. In fact, one of the practices of friendliness, metta, is sharing one's own knowledge with others and sharing with any material things with others. That is the practice of generosity, and they don't have any iota of wish to have anything in return. Yes, one can do that, and to do that one's mind should already be very, very clean and clear and attain liberation. Yes.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Next question. Dear Venerable Bhante, how is practicing sila helpful in achieving samadhi or cessation of suffering in relation to the Noble Eightfold Path?
That is very, very important. I think we must emphasize sila more heavily, reinforce it more frequently for meditation practitioners, or anybody for that matter, even to live a lay life, household life. Sila is absolutely necessary. Sila comes in 2 ways. One is by observing precepts. That is called Sikkhapada Sila. Sikkhapada means, we say, Panadipata Veramani Sikkhapadang, Adinnadana Sikkhapadang, and so forth. Observing rules as formulated in spiritual traditions. That way we can discipline ourselves. That discipline is very, very important. That is sila. And that discipline makes us very polite, polished, civilized, gentle person outwardly. That is important. If our outward behavior is very rough, tough, unacceptable and offensive to others, then of course we create more ripples in the peaceful society. And therefore, for our own protection, the protection of others, we have to observe the sila, the precepts. That is for outside appearance, performance, following manners, etiquettes, and so forth and so on. Law, following law, and so forth. But there is another sila, that is called Dhamma Vinaya. Dhamma Vinaya means discipline. Discipline by knowing Dhamma, understanding Dhamma, practicing Dhamma. We inwardly, we discipline ourselves. So when we discipline ourselves that way, we won't make offensive things. We don't commit any offenses in public as well as in private. Open door or closed door. So that means we are 100% conscious. We answer our conscience, and that is a discipline. And therefore, from both levels, discipline is very, very important. Ordinarily, when we practice discipline, we don't feel guilty, we don't be remorseful, and when we sit to meditate, our minds gain concentration very, very easily, very easily. And therefore, Sila is just like the foundation of a building. If the foundation is weak and shaky, unsteady, then a building will not last too long. We may even not be able to build a building on that shaky ground. And therefore, for the spiritual development, even material success, honesty, sincerity, discipline, sila is absolutely necessary. Wherever in ordinary life, household life, if somebody is doing very, very dishonest business, that person may not last too long in business world. He loses it because customers don't trust him. Nobody likes to invest in his company. Nobody will hire the person by another company, and so forth. In everywhere, discipline is absolutely necessary. You learn in philosophy, you learn in religious training, you learn in secular society, you learn it in family. If the family member, like parents, head of the family, breaks rules, you can never discipline children. Children always follow the parents, adults. You cannot train your dog if you are not disciplined. If you are very chaotic, very upset and very indisciplined and doing all sort of things, then you cannot discipline even your dog, your cat. So discipline is extremely important factor in meditation practice. Okay?
Thank you, Bhante ji. The next question is from one of our Bhavana residents. And this person writes, of all the 5 aggregates, perception or sanya is the hardest for my mind to identify. Perceptions can often be like a lens that colors my view in error. How can we weed out the roots of perception when they are hard to see?
That is a very good question. It's called sanya. Rupa sanya, saddha sanya, gandha sanya, ras sanya, pottabha sanya, dhamma sanya, 6 kind of sanyas mean perception. Now we know, say for instance, rupa sanya, the perception of form. There is a form outside and form inside. That is rupa. Outside form may vanish when you close your eyes, but the perception you have registered in your mind will linger for a while. And therefore you have to look at your perception inside your mind, and see either your perception is right or wrong. You may think it is right. Open your eyes and associate or go to the person and so forth. your perception is wrong. So that is why it is called a mirage. From a distance, mirage looks like water. When you go closer, there is no water. It is a mental perception. We have to look at our mind and see how quickly this perception changes and something else appears in the mind. You may remember something else, then your perception is gone. So you have to see how quickly perception changes in your own mind. Look at the mind. Look at the mind. Don't ask where the mind is, but see what the mind does. That deceives you, for you to think that is such and such and such and such. You see the pictures on the screen. You see the pictures. You see Bhante ji with head and ears and all this, and the picture of the meditation hall and whatever else you see from the Buddha statue and so forth. But are they really there? Try to catch me. Try to shake hand with me. Can you shake hand with me? Can you touch my head from there? No. Can you touch the altar and light a candle on the altar from there? No. It is a perception. You close your eyes, all will disappear. And even if you get closer to that, you look at it, you see a meditation hall. When you come and you take all of them apart, every piece apart, you can see some, stack of logs, a stack of concrete, a stack of metal, this and that. Where is a meditation hall? Only when you put them together, you call the meditation hall. And break them and make chairs and tables and something else, you call them that name. Perception is a kind of naming system that we put together. We give those names to something that put together and then accept it and conventionally said that is a meditation hall, that is such and such and such and such. But in reality, they are not there. Whatever perception you have, that is why we have a distorted perception. Perception is always not the correct one. It is distorted. Easy to distort our perception. And therefore, in order to get rid of that perception, you look at the changes that take place. I emphasize changes all the time, not because I have changed for so many years, but it is happening to you and to everything else in the universe. When things are changing from moment to moment, what you perceive first is no longer there in the second moment. That is true. And that truth we can see only when we gain mindfulness and concentration together. And you can see things change so fast. As I mentioned many times, even the mind cannot keep up with the changes. Mind cannot pinpoint one from the other, isolate one from the other. So quickly they change. Perception is changing so quickly. So, look at your mind. Whenever any perception arises, look at the mind. What happened when perception arises? We had thoughts, we had more concepts, we had more ideas, and we had theories and our beliefs. All kind of things we put into perception, and then we get bewildered and confused. And therefore, make it simple. Simplest thing is the most difficult to understand, because the mind has already been conditioned for complicated things. And therefore, make it less complicated. Then you can slowly train your mind to get rid of your perception and be in the very clear, pure state of mind. Okay, Brian, we have any more questions?
Simple but not easy. Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Okay. The next question: if Sama Samadhi is attaining 4 jhanas, is it necessary to have jhanas to attain Nibbana?
Well, it is necessary to overcome hindrances. 5 hindrances. There have been many people who have attained stream entry. Attaining stream entry is the entry point to Nibbana, entry point. Many people who have attained stream entry without practicing jhana by overcoming only hindrances. For instance, you hear we recite Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. We just finished reciting. When he delivered the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the first discourse, one person paid so keen attention. At the end, he attained the stream entry, and Buddha said, Kondanya, Anya Kondanya. He said, Kondanya is the one who has, or the known Kondanya, who has known, who has realized, who has attained the first level of enlightenment. Therefore, from that time onward, he is called Anya Kondanya. He attained the state without attaining jhana. Even lay people, Venerable Sariputta as a lay person attained stream entry by listening to one stanza by one of the 5 disciples called Assaji. He did not attain enlightened, jhana, listening to the talk. And a lay person called Upali, he attained stream entry by listening to the talk of the Buddha. At that time, none of them had attained jhanas, but all they had overcome at that point was 5 hindrances. And therefore, all one has to do is to wipe out all the 5 hindrances from their mind. That instant one can attain the stream entry. Attaining jhanas is an additional qualification. You pass your degree, you will get doctorate, PhD, and you go for advanced postgraduate research and get little more qualification. Jhanas are like that. Buddha did not discourage jhanas. Buddha encouraged jhanas, and even the Samma Samadhi is defined in terms of 4 jhanas. That is, the Buddha gave the highest. When he gave the highest, he did not neglect the poor person or the weaker person. So weaker person, Sariputta was not a weaker person, he's a very wise person. Among all the wise monks, Buddha says Sariputta was number one. Konnanya was number one. And those who have additional energy, time, they can go in the jhanic path. And therefore there are two methods, samatha meditation and vipassana meditation. In Susima Sutta in Samyutta Nikaya, Venerable Susima overheard some monks coming to the Buddha and declaring that they had attained full enlightenment. Susima confronted them and asked, "Can you perform miracles?" They said no, because they practice meditation and gain wisdom, attain full enlightenment without any additional embellishment. So jhana is a good thing, but always not necessary to attain stream entry. I think, friends, that's all time we have today. Thank you very much for asking these very good questions. Keep asking questions. I learned something from you. Now I want to wish, may all those who are suffering in hospitals from various diseases, primarily because this COVID-19, may they recover very quickly and practice Dhamma and attain total liberation from samsara. And all those doctors, nurses, hospital staffs who have been very compassionately dedicating their life to help these people, even at the risk of their own health, they dedicate with compassion. May they continue their wonderful service and live long in very good health and practice Dhamma, attain liberation. And those others who have suffered the loss of their loved ones, and may they recover from their grief and practice Dhamma and liberate themselves from samsaric suffering. And all others who are generously supporting various projects to help people in numerous ways, may they continue their generosity and share whatever they have with everyone and liberate themselves from samsaric suffering. And I must say, you all and everybody else whose category I have not mentioned, may all of them be peaceful and happy, live long in very good health, and attain full enlightenment and end all the suffering. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Bhante.
Sarnai.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Good night, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you,
Sadhu,
Bhante.
sadhu, sadhu.
Peaceful.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
See you next week.
Thank you, Bhante.